ฮัลโหลออม อันนี้ได้ยินไหมคะ Hello. Hi, everyone. Okay. Hi. Can you hear me now, right? Welcome, everyone, to GraphQL. โอเคค่ะ ได้ยินหรือยังเอ่ย
Okay, so good evening, everyone, and welcome to GraphQL Thailand 10.0. So, are you excited for the first GraphQL Thailand? What is it called? The first GraphQL conference, online meetup in Thailand. Are you excited for that? Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess you are excited about it. So we see that there's a lot of you guys here. So welcome everyone aboard, and today we are going to talk a lot about GraphQL. And for your information, the conference doesn't only end for today. There's also the conference on tomorrow. So make sure you stay tuned for the tomorrow session also. Yeah, so let's pass to like PI. So if she has anything to say.
Yeah, for now, I think everyone is ready for our session, but first, we have some game for everyone. Are you ready for it? Hello, all. Hi, are you still there? Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to open my mic.
Yeah.
Okay, so just a quick
Yeah.
spoiler here. The game that we are going to play first is going to be about our conference. So yeah, basically about GraphQL. So let me share my screen real quick here, and
Yes, please.
yep, this should share my screen. Yeah, I hope. Okay, let's see. Okay, the game that we are going to play is on the quizzes.com. So you can use the domain name on my screen and join with the code here. So if everyone is ready, we can start the game. Yep. Okay. I think the link can be shared to like the live stream on both Facebook and YouTube. For your information, we are living on two platforms. So the first one is like on the Facebook Live on the page Stupid Hackathon Thailand, and the second one is on the YouTube with the Rico channel on YouTube. I live stream there. So if you are more familiar with one another, you can switch. So you can have the best experience in the conference up to your choice.
Yes. And someone join now.
Yeah, a lot of people are joining. We are quite
Yeah.
excited about who is going to win.
Kunam, do you think how many people join we will start? Like some minimum of join people?
I'm thinking there's a lot of people here, but I'm not sure if there's how many people are in the live because I can switch the screen, but I'm expecting like 30 people at least. But I think there's
Yeah,
going
for
to
now
be,
it's already 24 people.
yeah, I think there's going to be more than 30 people joining in, but let's see. Let's just like wait for several minutes and let's see who's joining here. So I think on the next 2 minutes should be great because like at the 7:10 exactly 7:10 and we can start the game. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great. So we're waiting for people joining this game and 2 more minutes and we will start. So if you see this screen, please join us on quiz, which is code 870441, and you can play the game with us before we start the session. Now it's already 40 people. That looks good already. We'll wait 1 more minute.
Yeah, just like just a several seconds now, just like 45 seconds left, but we are having more people than we thought. There's like 40 people in the game now, so I'm quite excited about who's so let's see who's here. No, there's a lot of why there's like there's like player called name Prayudya. So I
Yeah,
think there's a lot of people here. So yeah,
yeah,
there's like excited for everyone. A lot of people here, Juke and like the emoji with the rocket icon. A lot of people here. So we are like
yeah.
yeah, I think there's going to be like a very competitive. So we are going to start the game now because it's like yeah, okay, so let's start the
It's
game.
time. Yeah.
It's like
Okay.
going to be like a quiz game, but we'll see.
For the first question, oh, okay. We will not see the question, but you can answer the question now, and we only see the score. For now, the
Let me
first
see
one
what is.
is
Oh, I can't see the question, right? Not sure if I
yeah.
can see the question, but a lot of people are joining
Okay.
in, so I think everyone on live might see the question. I'm not sure if we can like oh, a lot of people are going fast.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
wow,
Okay, we got top
really
three
fast.
now. In this time, the first person is some noise, right? And okay, Kogo already come to the first now.
It's like the game has also like if you answer the question fast, you are going to have like more point than being slow. But it's going to be tricky because some question you have to like read the question and doesn't have to be panic at it. Otherwise, you might answer the wrong question and your point will be like very low instead of like having a lot of points. Yeah, but seems like everyone is doing fine. Yeah, we're having the 71 accuracy here. So it's like everyone is like prepared for GraphQL, and I guess like everyone here like have some like understanding of the GraphQL already, but
Yeah.
on the talk there's like going to be like some advanced topic and like some easier to understand topic. So I think everyone should be like able to like enjoy the topic altogether, even if like
Yeah.
one have
I
like
agree with that.
more technical skill than the others. Yeah.
Okay, so now it's 66% already, and the first one of us is in top youth with 7,600 points. Oh, Jonathan already go there. On top your screen. Okay, thank you. Uh, okay.
Oh, logging, yes.
Yeah, it is big like always like have switch ranking all the time.
Well, the first one is like the player with the name of Bob Youth and like have all the 10 streak here is like leading the game. So a lot of people haven't finished the question yet, but I think the player named Bob Youth is like have like is going to win in my guess.
Yes.
It's like everyone here is like answering the question. Oh, a lot of people here.
Okay. Do you think everyone is already finished the quiz?
So almost there, almost everyone almost finished the question. So okay, just in case we are going to, I'm not sure if we are going to like read the question and like answer see the answer to the question together. Are we going to do that? Yeah, I think I assume that we are going to do that. How do we like?
Oh, come on. We find out that like everyone talking about the last question that we have like wrong answer.
I'm not sure how to like lower the game volume, but not sure here. So it seems like everyone like doing great with a with a question, but it seems like just some people are still like enjoying the question. So I think we are going to like wait a bit for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
We already
Yeah,
10 out of the down
I'm
now.
really excited about it, what the question is and what the answer is. So let's
Yes.
show the top five first. So the top five players from the first to the last from the first to the fifth. The first one is like is the player with the name Bob Yu. So his answer all the questions. See, it's like there's 10 questions, right? And and the first one just like answer all the correct question instead and make him the first player to like to have the highest score here. Second
Yes,
one is
one is Kun Pop Youth, right? And
Yeah,
the second one is Kun Supermax.
yeah.
And the third is Kun Bomb. And the fourth is Kun Ye, right? And the fifth of this game is Kun O. Okay, so now do you think should we uh
Yeah. I think we should like
talking about the
see.
question for a minute
Yeah,
and then we will start for a speaker. I think everyone is ready for a speaker, but let's see the question for a bit.
yeah. Okay, so
Yeah,
let's see. So there's the 10 question here, then and there's like every time taken and the correct answer and like everyone here. So the first question is what is the name of the of this meetup again? So I think we already know because it's like in the live title. I'm not sure if on the both platform has the same have the same title, but the question the answer is the GraphQL meetup. If right, yeah. How can we like show the answer here? Yeah, I think the first one is going to be like the GraphQL meetup, right? So a lot of people here answer correctly. Okay, the second one is have you did you use the GraphQL? It's like on this question is like there's no wrong answer here, but I think everyone is like every answer is correct. Okay,
yeah,
the third question is what is your role in development? I think this question is also the same. It's like there's no wrong answer here or correct answer here. So we are going to skip to the next question. So this question is asked about what is GraphQL. So basically, GraphQL is like the query language for it's like the middleman for the like you wrote some request in some predefined syntax and to pass it into the backend, and the backend will respond with the data you provide. So if you can't imagine how it look like, it look exactly like the JavaScript object, like JavaScript object where you like define what you want and you get a data based on what you define here. So it's like a query language for API here. Yeah.
yeah. And the fifth question is what about which company developed GraphQL? So
Oh,
the answer
yeah.
is
This is like a tricky question, but I think we a lot of people are uh, answer correctly here. So the answer is the GraphQL is first developed by by Facebook. So actually, the GraphQL first is like used internally in the Facebook, like to because the Facebook is like a big site with a huge load of traffic, so they have to like find a way to like deliver the only the important question, only in the important data. So they develop the GraphQL to solve that problem. Yeah. So let's.
okay. So Kunom, I think we will stop for this and we will answer. We will talking about the answer after this break because I think everyone is already waiting for our speaker and we have to say apologize for the question six. Yes, you are right and we are wrong about the answer and we will talk about this on this break. But
Yeah.
for now, it's time for everyone to talking about the talk is about exploring Prisma with Nexus plugin by Kun Varathep Sumedpong. So please welcome Kun Varathep. Hi, how are you?
Hi guys, I'm good. It's lockdown, but I'm good.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad to hear that and welcome and I will let you to take this session and we will waiting for you until you finish and this is your time. Please enjoy and everyone. Thank you.
Sounds good. Yep. So I think my slides are up. Hi everyone, my name is Philip. My real name is Maple. I'm a Thai person. I'm a senior software engineer at Meetup, cryptocurrency exchange in Thailand. So today I'm going to be talking about Prisma and its Nexus plugin. So the title of the talk is exploring Prisma with Nexus plugin. So I'm going to go through, this is my overview for the talk. I'm going to go through some history about GraphQL and its approaches. I'm going to go through Nexus, Prisma, and then talk about Nexus plugin for Prisma, the vision of it, and some takeaways and suggestions for you guys if you guys want to learn further about it. So let's get started. I don't know, I think from the quiz results, you guys are used to GraphQL. So I've skipped what is GraphQL slides. So this will be more about the history and probably give you more context. So early on in GraphQL, it was something called schema first approach. So that's like the first approach for GraphQL. So here we define schemas and then we resolve it. So schema, we had to prioritize schema design first before implementing it. So if you see GraphQL JS, which is the native JS library for GraphQL, so you'll see that here we have user type we can generate, which has some fields, and you're going to have this query. This query will have fields as well, which is user and what it returns and some arguments and resolver. I think this is one small example, but you can see it's really hard for us to see the API specifications. It's hard to read the code, and it's also very verbose. So if you see there's a pretty big file for pretty big like types, and it's very hard to read as well. And it's also really hard to communicate with front-end teams, right? How do you send the specification to the front-end team? So there's a lot of issues with vanilla GraphQL JS. Then the community moved towards SDL first approach, where we define SQL schema through SDL, and then we resolve it afterwards. So it's going to look the code is going to look something like this. So we're going to have some type defs. So we define this in the string. So you have type query hello, which takes in a string and returns a string. This is led by Apollo, GraphQL tools. Next thing is the resolvers. So this definition, there's resolvers. So resolvers would solve these types. And then you send these two into a function called make executable schema, which takes in two types, and this type defs and resolvers like split, right? And then put it together and create the schema to share it with the other team, and also Apollo server to host it on the server. The goal of this phase was to split between specification and implementation, so it's easier to read and use schema, and also easier to read code. And also there was introduction to SDL, which is schema definition language. That led to massive adoption. So this is where GraphQL really grew community-wise. So it's cool, right? I think this is most of the guys are mostly using SDL approach. So it's cool, but what's the problem, right? There's a lot of problems here, and I'm going to walk through with you. So problem one is there's a lot of inconsistencies between schema and implementation, right? So think about like having 50 functions and of type defs and 50 resolvers, right? How do you manually sync it together, right? I think a lot of GraphQL developers out there would probably feel the same issue, right? Like it's really hard to keep sync between type defs and resolvers. So, but there's a lot of community options and solutions out there. So one of them is GraphQL Code Generator. Another one is GraphQL Gen. These both are popular and very popular. I think if you're a GraphQL developer, you should definitely use it. Next one is modularization of GraphQL schemas. So think about a schema which has like, let's say a really big file, right? A really big schema, right? Like 10,000 like schemas, like 10,000 types, right? Most of the people and developers out there split code with modules, right? So you split the big code into small chunks of modules. So that's one of the problems that a lot of developers faced early on. The community has come up with a solution, which is GraphQL modules. So that's for people having big projects. You guys should definitely check this out. It helps skip schema files into modules, and they'll combine it together. So there's also concern about redundancy in schema definitions. Think about like ways to make it generic, right? How do you generically define types and reuse them? I think this is really tough, and the community is still finding a good solution for this. Like imagine pagination, right? How do you have types, pagination types reused through many types? So currently, I don't know any good solution out there. If you guys, listeners, have good solutions, please leave in the comments. I'll check them out as well. Problem 4 is bad development experience. Like SDL is actually normally represented in string. So generic tools wouldn't work for it, right? And I found out that actually, I've used this before, but I actually found out that this GraphQL tag library, it actually turns GraphQL string into AST, which is abstract syntax tree. And that allows like tools like VS Code and everything to build on top of that and scan, statically analyze, and there's a lot of features built on top of this. So most of the problems we have with SDL approach is good. Like there's a lot of solutions out there, right? So there's nothing like bad about it, right? It's good. The whole community accepts it. There's solutions for the problems, and the community is big, and Apollo really pushes this. So life's good, but not easy, right? So this is a small meme. I hope you guys are reading this. What are you working on, right? So this developer would say, trying to fix problems I created when I try to fix the problems I created when I try to fix the problems I created when. So you see, there's a loop, right? There's like creating solutions and the problem, solution and problem. So currently GraphQL, I feel like there's a lot of creating problems and solving it. So the new approach a lot of tech teams and community is taking is code first approach. So the belief behind this approach is the only tool you need is your programming language. So I think the best way I want to talk about this is, let's move back to phase 1, right? The original OG GraphQL, right? So you have, you import GraphQL and you define everything, but there's no SDL, right? There's no SDL. But we have seen the benefit of SDL. SDL allows front-end teams to go and use it, right? So this is good. Like this is actually code first as well. So it's a mixture between code first and schema first, which is, we still think about the schema first, but mostly it's going to be represented in code. So there's no SDL in the middle. So Nexus.js, this is a team. They are working on this project Nexus.js. So the key here is they've taken this thought process of code first approach and they have built this project. It is declarative code first GraphQL schema for JavaScript and TypeScript. So this is just for the JS and TypeScript fans out there. So it promises to be type safe and it works on ecosystem and it's data agnostic, which I have no idea what data agnostic means, but it's actually built on GraphQL.js. So it's actually at a level on top of it. So it will work with most of the tools out there in the community. So I copied this from the website. So from the code, it will look something like this, right? Instead of having strings or a lot of big objects, right? You can split it into small objects. So you will have a query object here, which is object type. You query, and then you can say hello, and they can have arguments, and there's resolver here. So this is much shorter, right? And it's much more readable because there's actually like most of it typed. And also, it's the resolver and the type defs are together, and there's actually no real type defs, right? It's actually together, like bent together. So we take this object type and you put it into a make schema function, and this will generate schema GraphQL, which you can send it to the front end and also use the tools out there in the community. And also we have type gen. This is all the code that's generated. So this will allow us to catch bugs on build time. So this is some more code. So user type would have like object type, right? So let's say this user has int string list of post. So for example, like our client is querying post. We can tell that, okay, if the client is querying post, we will let it resolve through, we have a resolve function for that. And then this is assuming there's a function get user root ID, which is the parent, and it gets the post. So this is asynchronous, can be asynchronous as well. this is the post object, which is going to be here if the client chooses so. Nexus also allows union types, so you can build union types, and instead of doing it in SDL, you can do it in code. You have in this, like this is a common example. I think Facebook probably has something similar to this. So they have media type and they have post image card, which is part of this union. And it allows us to customize the resolve type. You can resolve it by taking the item, and then you can do a dot name. This is interface type, so you can implement interfaces as well. So there's a node and then this user, which implements the node. Straightforward. It's also input types. You can get input object type, which is in case you have queries and you input for that, or mutations that you input for that. So you can create that input object as well. Enums as well. So it's really flexible. Right? Nexus has really gone over with this. So it has enum types, and this is a sample of that. There is Scala types as well. So it's pretty much native types for GraphQL. That's how I think about it. Last but not the least is a query type and mutation type. So if there's a query that we want to expose is user, there's arguments ID, and then there's a resolver, and the mutation is create user. It takes an argument of string and it will return user, and that's the resolve function. So you take all the types and you can put it inside the when you make schema. You also want to do that. You can. There's more options available once you want to do that. So that's Nexus, and that's the code first approach. I'm going to leave that aside. We'll come back to it, and I'm going to talk about Prisma. I don't know if you guys used Prisma before. So if you did, please put the thumbs up. I think I use it as well. So Prisma is a Node.js TypeScript ORM. And it's actually a query builder that exposes like the models behind the scene database. So I'm going to skip like the theory part about it. I'm going to focus more on the practical part of it, which is you can define your tables inside the code. This file is normally called schema.prisma. Yep. So you can have this file, and then you can tell that, okay, like Prisma takes this file and you run some command line. Prisma takes this file and has creates the query builders for you. So it will look something like this, right? So you can have prisma.user. So the user comes from this model. So from this file. So this model, you can do prisma.user, and you can do a lot of query builders here. It makes life much easier. And it's all typed because we have designed all the types here. So now we think we know a bit about Nexus, and we think we know about something about Nexus and Prisma, right? Both sides. Now let's combine it together. So Prisma has been working on this plugin called Nexus Prisma plugin. So what it does actually, if you think about the workflow, right? You run the script Prisma generate, and then it will read your Prisma schema and generate Prisma types for you, which is exactly what we talked about in Prisma slides. But it also, what it would do is it would read some config and generate types inside Nexus Prisma. So inside here, inside this box, it would also have types. It will expose Prisma types in Nexus context. So Nexus can read these models from Prisma as well. So your code can import Prisma models as well. So let's see. It's actually pretty simple. You do some installation, and then you can put this file, put these lines here. It will allow us to import models, Prisma models, from Nexus Prisma. So instead of doing customize everything, you can actually do from that as well. So you don't have to write the two things like twice. So you can reuse whatever is available on Prisma layer. So here we have make schema, which is types, and then you have object type, which is, you can see that you import this, and you can get user.name and also user.description, and then there's a field you want to expose in this object type. Yeah, so it's actually really nice, right? So this will allow us to like minimize layer of Nexus and allow us GraphQL layer and database layer to be closer. So you're minimizing the gap between that. Can we start using Nexus plugin yet? Not really, but it's really promising. They actually have this Nexus Prisma plugin. Like I think they've been developing for a long time, but they had to rewrite the whole thing again because the community is really new and there's a lot of new things coming up. And I think the new version of it is coming up as well. It's in beta. I think you guys can go check it out on GitHub. But in the future, what they want is they want us to be able to do something like this. So in Nexus context, right, you can do t.crud user. So this will expose a query on GraphQL layer. It will have all the things that Prisma would need on the GraphQL layer. So you can ignore the Nexus layer completely. So let's say t.crud user, t.crud users, and t.post and post. So they will have options for you like this, and you don't have to think about what you're exposing, what the input types are, what your output types are. So this will automatically do that for you. Don't worry though, you can actually customize it as well. So this is an example of a customized version of it. So t.crud, create one user, and then you can have a custom resolver as well. So all this sounds awesome. You guys want to get started already, right? Here's some links. You guys can check it out. I'm going to leave it here a little bit for you guys to note it down. So I work at Bitcup, and Bitcup is always hiring as usual. So if you guys are smart, we want to get smarter, and looking forward for you guys to join us. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Philip. It's a good session and good vibe. I see some comments. And do you have time for our Q&A, right?
I hope we do.
Yeah, I will check again. Yes, we still have some time. So anyone have some questions with Kun Philip, please comment and we'll ask. Okay, I will read some comments on here, like on Facebook and on YouTube. From Facebook, it's like cheer up and good vibe. Yay! Thanks, Philip. It looks like everyone. Everyone really say thank you to you, and it's a good session. And Kunom, do you have anything to say? Kunom didn't you still mute your mic.
Oh yeah, sorry. Okay, so it seems like everyone is like enjoying the talk a lot, and it seems like I also learned a lot. It's like really interesting talk. Yep, to be honest. But it seems like there's some question here. So let's see. So the first question is between Prisma and Type ORM. What is the short difference for Prisma and Type ORM? Yep. Sorry, can you hear?
Yeah, so I heard that some of you guys want to know the difference between Type ORM and Prisma, right? I think it's on the very similar area. So I think both of them are really good, but yeah, I think it's really very similar. Short differences, I think, would be that Prisma is more of a query builder, where Type ORM is a little bit more about. So if you think about it, right, schema for Prisma, you have to define the schema in the schema file, and for Type ORM is a little bit different, where you have to define your schema mostly manually. So I think that's probably the biggest early difference you can spot, but it's actually tackling the same issues.
Yeah, I see it. So yeah, I think that's really tells a lot of that's I think that's really clear the answer, because I also use both, but it's I really like Prisma a lot, but sometimes I'm still but sometimes I confused with okay, which one should I use, or which one should I go for, Prisma or Type ORM or something like that. But I think personally, with the answer, I think That's correct.
Yeah. So I think one of the guys in the comment also says that Prisma actually supports multiple languages. So in Golang also it supports. So that's something I missed out. So all those Golang fans in the chat, including BitCup, we also have Prisma as well.
Okay. And for the next question, from Kun John, right? Is it possible to extend Nexus based on Prisma?
So I think that's I think you have to look more that we are extending Prisma onto Nexus. So this project is led by Prisma. So Prisma is exposing their library and their code, generated code onto Prisma. I think that's a better way to look at it.
Okay, that is the answer from Kun Philip. I hope it helps. And yeah, no more question here. Only some comment about like Prisma is language agnostic.
Yeah.
They also have a Golang client implementation, so that sounds good for Prisma. And by Ray is saying hello to GraphQL. Yay, finally. Okay. And I think it's time to say thank you and let you get some rest. And thank you so much for your session. It really helped, really clear, and really good vibe as some comments say. And I think everyone is happy with this. And do you have some contact if anyone want to follow or want to go to see your work or something like that?
I will leave a comment on Facebook as well, I think.
Okay, then please go follow on the comment on Facebook. Kun Philip will comment on there, and everyone can go and follow him on there. And don't forget, BitCup still hiring, right?
Yeah, always hiring.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, see ya. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Now we are back. And look like everyone is happy with this session. And can we take some break first? Anyone still excited to listen for the next speaker, right?
Yeah.
Are you? Yes.
Yeah, I'm really excited too.
Yeah, me too. And it's like the first speaker is really good, very clear for GraphQL. From my side, I am a designer, not a back-end worker, but it sounds pretty cool for me. But we have to take a break, and we will be back at 7:55. So everyone can like talk on the comment and go to talk with Kun Warathep if you want to. Yeah, and if anyone has any question, you can comment on YouTube platform and Facebook platform, and we will read all comment and will write your question if that is in the session, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So we will take a break for 10 minutes and see you again in 7:55.
Yeah. See everyone in like next 10 minutes. So for now, let's grab some snack and like shoot down yourself for the next session.
Yeah.
Can we have some like sneak peek about what is the next session is going to be about?
Yeah, sure. For the next question is from the guy, and the guy has recently erased the envelope. Do you know envelope, right? What is the envelope? Do you know that?
Yeah.
And it is a new modern GraphQL server framework and plugin system, as you know, and it's a lightweight library that allows all developers to create plugins that enrich the GraphQL execution layers with new features, and that sounds good. But I will not tell you right now like who is the speaker but for now ค่ะ the good news คุณวรเทพ already comment on the Facebook and you can go to the comment and follow him on there yes
So yeah, I think we are going to see like everyone in like next 9 minutes for now. Yeah.
Okay, we are back.
Yeah, welcome everyone back. So we are going to have the next session in in a minute. So can we have a brief about what is the next session is going to be? Okay, let's
Yeah,
see.
in this talk, the speaker is Khun Yurik Goldstein, the founder of the guide, will share us a brief overview on off-envelope and why you should probably upgrade your existing GraphQL server to it. And that sounds very interesting, and I think everyone is ready for him. So please welcome Khun Yurik Goldstein ค่ะ
Hi everyone. Can you see and hear me?
Yes,
Thanks for having
I can
me.
hear
How are
you.
you?
I'm pretty good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, excited. Really excited.
Okay,
Thanks for having me.
nice to see you, and I think everyone is ready to listen your session. Are you ready for now?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, that sounds good. So I will leave you for your session and see you after finish.
Thank you. You can see my screen and my presentation, right? Hello? Can you just tell me if you can see my screen or my presentation?
Yes, I can see your screen now.
Okay, thank you. So, hi everyone. My name is Uri, and I'm here to introduce a new system and a new library that I think would change how we look at GraphQL servers today. We launched this a couple of months ago, and we're using it for more than half a year now at the Guild. And I think I hope you all be excited about it as much as I do. I will do a brief overview about it, and then I also hope to get a lot of questions because I always prefer questions than slides. So I'll try to be brief. So just a bit about me and us and who is us. I'm the founder of a group that's called the Guild. Today we're the largest open source group in GraphQL. Like maybe you didn't hear about the Guild, you should definitely save this website and go there and have a look. But maybe even if you didn't hear about us, you probably heard about the GraphQL code generator, which is a library that we maintain. And like the GraphQL code generator, we also maintain GraphQL inspector, which you probably also have heard about, which helps you prevent breaking changes in your schema. And like GraphQL inspector, we're also the ones who develop GraphQL modules that was mentioned in the talk before, and also GraphQL tools that were also mentioned in the GraphQL talk before. So we maintain a lot of different libraries. Another one, very famous one, is GraphQL Mesh. So you can see we basically maintain, and we're also the largest open source group in the GraphQL ecosystem today. And we maintain many tools, many different types of tools. I won't touch on everything, but the idea is that if you take all these tools together, you get a full platform, like from your data sources to your backend, your APIs and your clients and CLI and dev tools. All of these things are fitting together, but you can pick and choose whatever you want. We're not vendor locking you in. This is part of our philosophy. We have a very sophisticated open source philosophy in the group. We're all a group of individuals. All the libraries, by the way, are not under the Guild. They're under specific people. So you can take and combine all of these together, but all of these are also very powerful individually. So you can gradually use them and you can do all kinds of work with them. So that's us. And because we have this philosophy, we looked at how GraphQL servers are being written today, and we thought like we could have it better. Like maybe we thought that it could be better. So what I'm going to do today is basically talk a bit about the current state of GraphQL servers, like what you probably use today and you're familiar with. a new system, the plugin system that we introduced, and we think you're going to like it. And that's it. So what's happening right now when you go and you want to build a GraphQL, let's say Node GraphQL, a JavaScript GraphQL server? Then and everything is my opinion or our opinion. Like, it's all, you could argue, and actually, if you argue with me on the Q&A, I would love that. Like, I would love people actually pushing us and asking us for giving us strong feedback. That's why we thrive for. Like, one of the things that we're proud at the Guild is that we always have the capacity to look about the feedback from the community and respond to issues on open source or anything that people might bring us. So I hope you can give me feedback in the Q&A. So currently, when you look at the current state of GraphQL servers, the most popular ones, most of them are basically just wrapping everything that has to do with GraphQL. Like, you can't see what GraphQL itself is doing. They're wrapping it for you because they want to make it easier for you, and also for other reasons that we'll talk about in a second. That's nice, but it also means that you don't have a lot of flexibility. Also, if you want to extend or you want to change their behavior, you don't really have a lot of good options out there. And that also was our problem. We work with a lot of high-scale, highly sophisticated clients and companies, and we needed more customizations and more power when we work with the GraphQL framework. We tried to even create PRs for the popular GraphQL frameworks out there to give more flexibility, but they just didn't have the capacity for it. And that's another point. Like, the frameworks today, many frameworks are there in order to lock you in. They want you to use their framework, and then hopefully you can also buy more things from that company. And that means they made it deliberately hard for you to change things there, or to hook into the request pipelines or all kinds of things like that, because then you might not need to use their things that they're selling you. And also, the last part, like I said, like, many times we actually started with creating PRs to those libraries, but they didn't have the capacity. Like, even if we had a PR that didn't change anything for others and the PR was ready, it was just not being responded. So sometimes people they're not so good at looking at open source libraries and see if they're actively maintained or not. And many of the popular libraries, you will be surprised, but they're maintained by maybe one person, and even that is not sometimes happening. So for us, we really tried to do whatever we can with the existing tools. But at some point we said, you know what, after we create all the tools I told you about, maybe it's time for us that we need to build something new that will free us from the current state. And we think there could be better state for everyone in the community. And I'll just give you an example of, other things that are really weird about all the things that I said. Like, for example, if I'm using a certain server, it probably means that I need to use SDL first. And if I'm going to code first, now I can't use all the things from that framework. And that's stupid because, with GraphQL, why would I care how do I extract my schema? I can build with Nexus, like was mentioned before, with type GraphQL or GraphQL tools. Do whatever you want, but then the whole GraphQL execution, let's share the code, let's share knowledge between all the community and save time. Another thing is HTTP servers. Today, you need to build like some kind of custom tools in order to use Fastify or HTTP or Express. Or what if you want to actually go serverless and use Lambda or Azure Functions or whatever? Suddenly, this is a different thing, and you can share some stuff there. So we thought this is not a good state to be in. It's okay, but we can do better. So we introduced Envelope. Keep the website and go there now also if you can. I'll also maybe go there because I always prefer real examples and docs instead of slides, but we'll get there. The idea, what you see here is the first sketch that we had on Envelope. Let's start with what you see on the bottom right, you see GraphQL. This is GraphQL JS. This is actually the execution, the actual core library of GraphQL. And you see that it has functions: parse, validate, execute, and subscribe. Those are the functions that actually GraphQL provides us. But the current set of frameworks are wrapping those functions and make us not being able to do anything with those. What we thought was, maybe we can just take GraphQL JS itself and we can build hooks into before and after each of these phases. So you can customize everything here. And those hooks will be exposed through plugins. So the people who write the plugins will have a lot of power, but the users, the people who use the frameworks, will have it will be super easy for them. They just need to install a plugin and it's done. They get the full power. And because it's separated from what you see here, the schema, then now you can use all these plugins, but you can use any HTTP, any schema. You can use Nexus, you can use Schema Builder, you can use Nexus, you can use GraphQL tools, type GraphQL, or something else. There's a new thing that I currently forgot their name, GraphQL or something like that, which is also super cool. So we don't care. You could build it in whatever way you want and reuse all the tools between everyone in the community. And then we wrapped GraphQL and we exposed that to the actual HTTP server and the request pipeline. So that means that what you do for HTTP, for example, if you do Fastify or Express, you can change between them. If you go and run this thing on Edge, or on on an Edge network, or maybe if you want to run on Azure Functions or Lambdas and serverless, it doesn't matter. You can still reuse all these things here. So again, let me repeat the main capabilities. So first of all, we have finally a plugin system across all the different Node.js frameworks and JavaScript frameworks in the ecosystem. It doesn't matter what you choose, you can share the plugins. Those plugins are very easy for you as the user and are very powerful when you create ones. Like I said, you can solve and share between the ecosystem. And another thing that is really cool is that because we are hooking into GraphQL, we can actually start using features that are not still arrived into the GraphQL JS itself. So all kinds of new features like defer and stream, one-off, and all kinds of new features that are at the spec, but GraphQL JS is moving slow, so we still can't use them with the other frameworks. With Envelope you can, and you can use it today, and we use those today. So it's kind of like, if you remember, when we used to have Babel and browsers weren't ready to use, let's say, ES6 or a new JavaScript, you could write the new JavaScript and Babel will make it work on all browsers. Same thing here. You could use Envelope to use new features from GraphQL, even though you're using the existing GraphQL JS that maybe not support those features yet. So Envelope is like I said, it's a plugin system. We also this is like a core basic thing. You could use it as a server. We use it together with GraphQL Helix. I'll maybe mention it a bit as well. But you could use it with your own frameworks. And more than that, there's now frameworks that started adopting Envelope as their core system. For example, Redwood.js. If you haven't heard about it, you really should check it out. They're now giving you the option to use Envelope, all of the power of Redwood under Envelope with the Envelope plugins instead of Apollo. So all these things I mentioned before, but let's just mention a couple of, let's say, powerful plugins you can use. There's caching plugins. You can add caching extremely easy. You can add tracing, again, by just installing the plugins with anything, Prometheus, Datadog, New Relic. It's also Apollo tracing. It's not hard anymore. It's just one line of code. Loggers, persistent operations, or security with rate limits and depth limits of 0, and all these things. So it used to be that you had a whole lecture about these things, and it was very hard, and everyone needed to implement it again and again and again. Now you can just install a plugin. I'll show you some examples. And like I said, you could run this thing anywhere. It doesn't matter if you use Express, Fastify, you deploy on Netlify, on Vercel, on Azure Functions, Cloudflare Workers, run it anywhere. And you can use any schema builder as well, like SDL, Apollo Federation, Nexus, and everything else. I'm repeating myself, but I think it's important for you to understand that this is a new way, and once you realize that, it's very hard to go back. And like I said, many GraphQL frameworks are already in the process of already migrated into that, or we're working with them in the process of migrating them. And I have another small surprise to show you at the end of the talk. And like I said, with Babel to GraphQL, you can use new things now with this server. Like you can actually start using like different stream, live queries, one-off, and all kinds of other RFCs that are open today, but GraphQL.js is not implemented yet. So from all of this, we got a powerful framework. And like I said, this framework is basically wrapping GraphQL.js, enhancing GraphQL.js with a very powerful plugin system. I'll walk you through them and some of them. And then you could use it anywhere. So I highly recommend you to try it and let us know and give us feedback if you want to create more plugins. So a bit of how it looks, I'll just show you a very, very simple example in code. When you create envelope, this is like a regular Apollo server. And there's an asterisk on Apollo that I'll touch a bit later. But with a regular Apollo server, usually what you do is you send it the type defs and the resolvers. Now what you can do, you send that into envelope. And then you could add a list of plugins, whatever plugins you want. Like you see here, use timing. So you get the timing of all the execution and everything. And then you pass envelope to Apollo server. Now that means that instead of just using the stuff that are just working with Apollo server, you can use plugins from all around the community. And by adding them, it gets super easy. For example, what you see here, we got a regular envelope. That envelope will be used in whatever context you want. But we're just adding 4 lines of code, which one of them is just adding the schema. So let's say the parser cache, the validation cache, and GraphQL JIT, you created an extremely fast and performant GraphQL server. You didn't need to do anything else. And that's the power of it. Those plugins are extremely powerful. This is how you write a plugin. You can hook into the parse, the execute, all the different functions that GraphQL.js exposes. So for the person that writes the plugins, they have tons of power. But again, for you just add a couple of plugins and you get a very powerful and performant server. So it's not only super customizable and powerful, but it's also easy. Another cool thing you can do is that you can actually, and we saw that with a lot of large companies we work with, you can create envelope for envelopes. So you can take a set of plugins and a set of configurations, and then you can share it across all your company, for example. And then you get a standard way of building GraphQL servers across all your company, but still give each team their options to define extra plugins or change whatever they want, or execute it in another place, and with another environment. So let me, before I finish, I want to show you a bit the website itself, because I want you to get in. So the website is envelope.dev. And you can see here, basically repeating everything I've said. And you can see here, this is actually part of the Guild's platforms. Like if you click here, you see, like I said, we have a lot of different other plugins and services and things like that. So I really highly recommend you to check those things out. But inside the website, if you go, you first of all can go to the docs, and we'll go a bit there. But then what you see here is the plugin hub. in the plugin hub, what you see is basically a list of all the different plugins that we have, and there's a lot, and they're also categorized. So you can see here things like, use Hive, like the registry, Prometheus, Apollo tracing, get async schema, error handling, GraphQL modules, basically, security stuff like depth limit. Let's go to security, for example. So you can see, you can, just by installing a couple of plugins here, you could create, easily, like authentication, authorization, and all kinds of other things. Sorry?
Yeah, for now it's like the screen is black, so no one can see this. Can you
Really? Oh, wait, let me share again. Do you see the screen now?
Not yet. Yeah, we can see it now. Thank you. Okay.
Oh, you can see it now? Okay. And were you able to see the website, or just not at all, the website at all? Do you still see it? Okay, I hope you see it. If not, let me know. So like I said, here we can like filter through security and find all the things we need just with a couple of plugins to secure our server, or do caching, or improve performance, or authentication, authorization, what you need for subscriptions, all kinds of very powerful things that used to be very hard, and now they're very easy. And in the docs, you can find everything I'm saying here. But let me just jump for you can see how to get started, and you can see there's here like integrations with all kinds of different libraries and things. What you see here with Apollo is that Apollo, you could create, like I showed you before, you can work with Envelope and Apollo. But that also means that Apollo needs to give you a way to customize the parse functions, which, like I said at the beginning, they're .do. So what we actually did was we actually started a discussion. Let me show you that. Here on Apollo, that basically explains how, without any breaking change, we can actually integrate it into Apollo. So I hope that will happen soon. But until then, we use GraphQL Helix, which we think is a very powerful like orchestrator, request pipeline orchestrator for GraphQL. So you should also check it out as well. So like I said, all the things that I mentioned here, we also have here, by the way, a lot of powerful guides, like how you can secure your GraphQL API, and how do you do monitoring and tracing through Sentry, Datadog, New Relic, all these things. And unlike other articles out there that talk very generally, and it's always very hard, and this is extremely easy. Like, you can follow the guides, and just with a couple of lines of code, you have everything setting up, including, by the way, using GraphQL features from the future. You can see here features that are not implemented yet in GraphQL.js, but you can already use them today. So I really recommend you to use Envelope, to come check it out and give us feedback. Thank you very much, and maybe I'll take questions now.
Okay, thank you very much. And I think it's time for Q&A. But first of all, I listen, and I think this is very helpful for a developer, and it's a help too for the server, the GraphQL server. And we have an interesting question from Kun Poom Prin. He asks, like, what APIs or hooks are available if he wants to write a plugin for Envelope, and how does the plugin hook into the GraphQL engine internal?
That's a great question. I will share a link to the guide. We have a guide on how to do that, so I'll post it in the chat. So with GraphQL, with Envelope, you can basically use take all the different functions that GraphQL exposes, like parse, execute, subscribe, and you basically get an on parse, on execute, on subscribe, and you can do whatever custom logic there. And then we also give you all kinds of other hooks, like basically, like I'll send you the whole reference. Just a second, I'll also post it here. So there's many hooks, like on plugin init, on envelope, on parse, you get the before API and the after API. On validate, you get the before API and after API. You get on context, where you can change the context, on execute, and all these things, and so on subscribe. And again, before and on subscribe results and on subscriber code. And also we have a plugin we have a hook for on schema change. So sometimes if you want to replace the schema of your envelope, that's also possible. So I sent a link, like if you go to envelope.dev docs plugins lifecycle, you can see the list of all these things. And if something is missing for you, let us know. Like we covered a lot of different plugins, as you can find in the plugin hub, but we're looking for more feedback and more people to add more plugins. It's a great question.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. And
for the next question, for the next question from YouTube. So the question is the hooks. Is it similar concept to like the hooks plugin in the WordPress?
I'm not super familiar with that, but my guess is that probably yes, because but I'm not familiar, to be honest, with the hook system in WordPress. But the idea of the hooks here is, again, it's mostly for the plugin creators. So as the plugin creator, you could basically customize everything that GraphQL is doing. The validate, for example. So you, for example, can create custom rules for validations, and you can fail the request before even it gets to the next level, the next phase in GraphQL. You're already in the validation phase, you can enter your own custom logic. So it's extremely powerful. So I think, first of all, people, when they use the current set of GraphQL servers, they're not sometimes even aware of the different things and the different phases that GraphQL JS is actually working. Like, they don't understand how it's actually working internally. So first of all, it's a good thing to know and understand. And then the power of changing it and customizing it for us has been a game changer. Like, since we used Envelope, we basically replaced thousands of lines of code with plugins. And we share those plugins across many different clients, because we have a lot of different clients. And we just, before that, we found ourselves repeating the same things again and again and again. Now we just do it once and we share it as a plugin and we open source it and give it to the community. And that's it. So now everyone could use Sentry with one line of code, or Datadog with one line of code, and all kinds of cool things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, really
Thank
interesting.
you for your answer. And looks like no more question here, but someone say like we will be fully enveloped awesome and already using in production. So yeah, congratulations for that. And I see a lot of links for the envelope developer document, right? You can check on Facebook comment and YouTube comment.
Yeah, I will also add one more thing, one more surprise. We have the envelope itself. You can start using it today. And like I said, Redwood.js is already using it, and we're working with Parse and also Loopback and also other frameworks to include that in. But we also think there's a new place for new framework that's coming in, and there's going to be a major announcement very soon. So for a new framework that's coming in that is based on Envelope. So if you want to be future-proof, you can start using Envelope today. And follow us on wherever you want, on GitHub or on Twitter, or on our website. And announcement is coming very soon. Thank you.
Okay, that sounds good, and we are waiting for that surprise for the framework that you told us. And everyone, if you want to know when it launched out or how it's like or how it will be, please go follow him on Facebook, Twitter, or anywhere you see. And I think it would be great if you comment your contact on the Facebook and YouTube, and everyone can go to see and follow it. And thank you so much for this section. It's really cool and helpful. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Okay, and I think it's time to break again, and we are exciting for the next session because we were talking about Apollo Federation 101 by Kun Beam or Kun Nachpon Sisang, right? And
Yeah.
if you want to know what is going on the next session, please waiting and take some break for 15 minutes, right? Yes, and we will come back again at 8 p.m. and 40 minutes. So please take some break and waiting for us and get exciting for this. Right? Okay. See you
Yeah.
in the next session. Ha.
Okay, so welcome back everyone to for this session. So this session is about Apollo Federation 101. So have you ever used Apollo? But imagine that you have a lot of server. Let's say it's like a microservice, and you want to fetch the data across the microservice. So normally it's going to be really complex, right? But with Apollo's Federation, on this session that PBM is going to talk about is going to solve this problem as a easy solution with the Apollo Federation. So let's clap a hand and please welcome PBM for this talk. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, hello. How are
Wow.
you?
Very nervous and excited at the same time.
Okay, but I think
But
it will be good for you. And very thank you for joining us on this meeting, on this meetup, and we will let you take your time for Apollo Federation 101, and we're really excited for that. Okay, ready?
Ready.
Yes,
Ready.
good.
We are
Yeah.
We are this up, right?
everyone please share for คุณบีมค่ะ
Okay. Let me share my screen first. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Not. Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's
perfect.
all right. I'm hitting play. So you're still seeing it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I will not see the comment because I use presentator mode too. So that's two screens. Hello. Good evening. This actually my first time being a speaker in such event, so I'm very nervous. I'll try my best. My name is Beam, backend engineer from Brico, and today I have a very interesting topic. It's about Apollo Federation, and 101 is just that. It means that it's for beginners, so it's gonna be pretty simple concept of Apollo Federation. But first, before I'm going to talk about Apollo Federation, let me ask you a question. And I think this is probably the most important question here in GraphQL Meetup. So why GraphQL? Why do we use GraphQL? For what? Why GraphQL is so good? Now, to answer that question, I imagine that you are right now sitting in front of PC or maybe smartphone. So let's imagine. Now you are a back-end developer, even though you are not, just imagine you are. You have to develop an API for movie rating system. It's gonna be something like this. We're gonna go with the most basic feature. We have list of movies, and each movie will have reviews. User can rate, give a star, and leave some comment maybe. And we're gonna average the rating for each movie and gonna show up. But we're not gonna make real fun front end or any stuff. We're gonna only focus on the API. Okay. But in order to answer why GraphQL, let's forget about GraphQL for a while. And let's go with more traditional way, REST API. Right. So we're gonna make this movie rating system API with REST. Yeah. Let's imagine. Now let's imagine there's a guy, and we have the server. We are on the right side, and there's a user on the left side, right? What if a user wants every movies with every reviews of each movie? As a backend developer, how we gonna design that API? So maybe okay. If you want movies, you can send a GET request to this endpoints, and now you get the list of every movies in our system, but with no reviews, right? It's just movies. But now you need reviews for each movie. what do we do? Fine. We pick ID of every movie and we send a query to the server to get the reviews of this movie ID. And then we repeat this again and again and again for every movie that we have. Maybe we have hundreds of movies, maybe we have 1,000 movies, or maybe even 100,000 movies. So that's a lot of requests, right? You just imagine, like, the more movies you have, the more requests you're gonna have to do, and that's not a very good approach. Okay, fine. Maybe it's just that your design so bad. Let's redesign this. Maybe you're gonna do something like this. Okay, again, at the same time, you query movies, but now we provide another endpoint where you can just send every movie IDs and it will get every reviews for those movies, right? But now what's the problem? The front end guy, the guy on the left, now they have to make like 2 queries to the server, and then they're gonna have to work on some weird logic to map movies and the reviews with movie ID. Anyway, it's just so complicated. Just forget about it. Okay, but that's not the end of the story. What else can happen with REST API, right? Now let's imagine again. Now you have another front-end guy who said to you that I want movies titled with reviews, and you're like, as a backend dev, yeah, sure, we can design an API for that. So you probably spend 2 or 3 hours coding that, publish, deploy, happy day. No, then you have another front-end guy comes to you and say, I want movies title and comment without reviews. But okay, fine. You're gonna make that. So you continue coding and you redeploy some stuff, be fetch data like more than they want. That's not all the story, right? And then there's another front-end guy comes to you and like, okay, but now I want movies review with only review rating. I don't care about title. I don't care about comment, anything. And at this point, this is you and me in the right side. Like, what? Because like there are so many scenarios that can happen. You cannot design API for every scenario. Sure, you may like throw everything out, and yeah, you front-end guys deal with your own. But that's not a very good thing. The problem here is you cannot get what you want. You may underfetching, means that you will lack some data, like in the first scenario where you don't have reviews, so you have to make another request for that. Or you're gonna overfetching, means that you get the data more than you want. And yeah, if it's 2 or 3 people, that's gonna fine. But if it's scaled to 1 million requests or like 10 million requests, that's not pretty good. But that's even this, it's not the end of the story, right? Like you deal with this, you have enough headache, and then suddenly a random front-end guy comes to you and asks you, like, what's the type of your response? For the context of this, I'm using TypeScript, and yeah, we want to type the response from backend. And imagine that you have like 100 endpoints, 1,000 endpoints, and the front-end guy just come and ask you, what's the response of this? Man, you cannot imagine that, right? Maybe the one way to solve this is you're gonna have to write the documentation, the full documentation. Maybe you use API Swagger and let the front end like just play with that and figure out what the type is. But the problem is you have to write the documentation. And I don't know about other devs, but I really hate writing documentation. I don't want that. Like, my job is to write code and not documentation. So with all of these problems, you're probably gonna like maybe a little bit frustrated about how REST like causes problems, or you may be just like scream to death at this point. But you know, just calm down. Just calm down. What if we just just ignore REST. Just don't use REST, and let's embrace GraphQL. Welcome GraphQL. Like REST is dead. Long live GraphQL. So what does GraphQL like provide you is that the ability to actually get the data what you want. So from the server side, you may have like data type available, and you have like queries, and you have mutations available. What front end or like API caller need to do is they write just a request, and they just specify what query or mutations they want to use, what's the data type that they want. So in this case, they want just movies, they want title, and they want reviews. Fine, GraphQL handles that for you. You get only what you want. So happy day. You get what you want. That's why you should use GraphQL, right? And this is gonna be like just the end of why GraphQL is good. But if you're curious about GraphQL, the whole story, I recommend you to watch this YouTube video. It's a GraphQL documentary. It's gonna be about, well, what's a problem that makes GraphQL, why GraphQL is designed, and how it evolves, and how it involves in our industry, and how it changes the industry forever. So I recommend you to check this out. It's very good. I recommend. So I'm gonna skip this. I'm not gonna play it for you. And yeah, it's time for quiz number 1. I have a little quiz for you guys. So I'm gonna off the presentation modes here. And yeah, it's there. Please join this little. I have a little quiz for you. It's gonna be easy, just to draw your attention. Yeah, so I'm gonna let that sink in for a while. Just gonna take a break to what is Memer here? Okay. Wow, like keep joining. That's good. Oh, now I have a chance to read the comment. Yeah. That's a lot of pain. Okay, whenever you're ready. Yeah, sorry, I think I misclicked something. Yeah, I can see many. I can see many weird names there. Yeah, because hiring, I hate studio, some internal joke. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you guys have humor. I can see that. Wow, so many quiz. Okay, so I'm gonna let this, like, you guys take this quiz for a while, maybe a half a minute. Is anyone answered the quiz already? You can tell me in the comment. Oh, sorry. Okay, I think maybe that's a good time. I think we should move on, right? So yeah, we talked about why GraphQL. And the next question that I want to ask is, Why microservices? Has anyone heard or like familiar with microservice? Like, feel free to comment. Yeah, just comment there. I'm gonna read it later. But why microservices? Now, to answer that, let's forget about the movie rating system for a while. That's too simple, right? I'm gonna tell you a story. This is me. Yeah, that's me in the slide. And my story is that I worked at a tutoring school, which is kind of weird tutoring school. We are tutoring school, but we have like in-house dev, and we really tech-driven tutoring school. So everything totally gonna be with tech. So that's why I work there. And here we have like really like weird requirements all over the place. What are those requirements? So first, they want to manage their learning materials, maybe videos, homeworks for students, or worksheets, something like that. They want to manage those. And obviously, we have materials. We're gonna have a system that let the student to access that material. So watch a video, get their homework, get their worksheets. That's another requirement.
Sorry, PB. We are seeing the quiz, not your slide. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I can tell the story again. Just forget what happened. Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, yeah, why GraphQL is good. Actually, everything is correct. So the reason why GraphQL is good, it's self-documentation, because the type itself tells you what you can get, and the query that you send to the server tells you what you will get actually, and that's basically you choose what you want, right? And there are other good points of GraphQL that you will see when you actually use it. So recommend you to try that out. But I think everyone is interested in GraphQL. That's why you are in this meetup, right? Okay, so I'm gonna continue with the presentation. So now I can share my screen now, right? Wait a second. Okay, where are we now? Okay, so we're supposed to start with this slide, but because I talked about it, I'm gonna skip real fast. And this is me. Yeah, recap. This is me. I'm working at tutoring school, and they have many weird requirements. They want to have a system that manage learning materials, and they want a system that lets students access those materials. And because we have homeworks, we also need a system that let the student turn in their homework and let the tutor create the homework and give student back their feedback. But that's not all. They also want to track the progress of the student, like based on the test score, maybe their behavior during the class. Like, there are so many things that they want to track. So they want that system. All right. And yeah, obviously they want a user management system. So for students and for staff, and there are really much more that I just forgot about it, right? And so when I first joined this tutoring school, I was like screaming. Why? Because they use monolithic architecture with all these bunches together in one service, and it just, oh man, the code is so ugly. It tangles everything. You don't know where you're gonna break this thing up, and you change one line of code and everything suddenly breaks. Man, that was horrible. That was my nightmare. So I decided to break everything down into many microservices. So that's kind of one point of why we need microservices. It's because when we have something that's like so big, it's very hard to maintain, it's very hard to develop, and yeah, just a small change can break everything. So it's better to separate it into like many services. In this case, you can separate it into 5 services, and they're small enough that you don't have to worry about breaking other things. So that's the point. So for the sake of this talk, for the sake of this demo, we're gonna break down our movie rating system. Like before, let's think we have just one system where movie and review sit together, but now we're gonna break it up into 2 services. It's gonna be something like this. We have movie system and also a review system, and we're gonna combine these 2 systems using a gateway. So a gateway is basically just the way that you expose your API to a front end guy. They don't have to know that we are using microservice. It's behind the gateway, right? So what we're gonna do is, suppose that we are using GraphQL, okay? So what we are going to do is, that's your guys' front end guy. They're gonna send a request to the gateway. Okay, they want movies with title and reviews with rating and comment. Okay. And now gateway has to think, where should I get this data from? Where should I send this query to? So for movies, they're gonna ask information about movies, right? They want ID, they want title for that. Title is what the front end guy wants. But what about the ID? The ID is used actually for review service. So it's gonna be like similar picture to what Chris is doing. So you get the ID, then you send your IDs to review service because review data is there, it manages them, and so you need to get it from there. And now you query it from both movie service and review service. You're gonna compose like those 2 data, aggregate them, and send back to the front end guy. Now, what's the problem with this approach? It looks good, right? At least it just GraphQL on the wrist. So that's definitely better. But the problem here is actually at the gateway. So why is that? In this case, gateway has to know how to aggregate the data. And imagine if it's not movie rating system, which we only have 2 services. Let's imagine in my story, we have like 5, actually more services. A gateway has to know how to compose the data, how to aggregate it, and send to the front end. The gateway is gonna be like a very massive chunk of code, of logic, and it's gonna be probably gonna be the same thing. Like it's too big, you change something, and then it breaks everything. So that's not it. That's not good. Yeah. Now it's time for the quiz number 2. Yeah, I'm gonna send it over. Yep. Wow. There are so many things happens here. So the question is, what's not the good point of microservices? I mean, it may different to you guys. If you have like any opinion, feel free to comment. But for me, it doesn't really make architecture simpler. It's actually make it more complicated, because now you have before you have one big component, right? You break it down, and it just has like more components right now. In terms of architecture, I feel like that's more complicated. And allow different technologies. This is definitely the good point of microservices, because now each service are separated. You don't have to use the same language. You don't have to use the same architecture or even the same database. You can change all of that. Yeah, something like that. And also distributed responsibility. I think, for my opinion, this is like a good point of it, because now you break a big service into like several small services that handle its own thing. You don't have to like intertwine with each other, and that's gonna make you be able to focus on really what matters to you. Yep. So I think that's about it. Let's go back to where we left. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen again because, oh, why do I stop that? I don't understand. TikTok, TikTok. Can you guys see my screen now? Maybe someone has to like shout out because I can't read the chat now.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, thank you. So now we know that GraphQL is good and why we should use microservices, but as we just left, that approach doesn't really work, where we have the gateway sit in and we leave like every aggregation logic to gateway. So how do we combine GraphQL and microservice into a very beautiful way? And that's where upload federation comes in. So welcome to upload federation. The first question, you don't have to answer that. Okay, it's just to get your attention. What is upload federation? Now you can search Google right now, upload federation. It's going to be in upload documentation. It's going to have like long paragraphs, 2 or 3 paragraphs. But for me, I summarize it into one sentence. Upload federation is just how you divide a big graph into many subgraphs across services and let them do their own thing. So it seems like the definition of microservices, but also combined with the graph. And that's what upload federation actually is, right? But let me explain more a little bit. So just to make you guys like see the picture easier. So this is our we call it schema. This is our schema in our movie rating system. We have review, we have movie, and there are like 2 colors here. It's just indicates their concern. So we can separate this into 2 services. One is movie service, the blue one that takes care about the movie. Sorry. And the second one is review service, where it takes care of review. And you're going to see that it also takes care of some part of movie, but it's going to be about review. So if you see reviews and average rating is in review service. And this is what upload federation is. And the next question is, okay, I think you kind of understand what's upload federation now, but why upload federation? Why do we want to use upload federation? Well, it's because it's a very neat solution for GraphQL and microservice, but let me explain, right? So let's imagine, let's go back to my story, that we have like massive big service and we have like everything inside that. Now, the good thing about upload federation is that we don't have to immediately change everything. We don't have to like rework everything from scratch. Instead, we can just gradually decompose this service, just try to break it down a little by a little. And in this case, like we pull the user off that and we use upload federation to federate these 2 services together. And then in the future, you can start to pull other things out, like material, maybe student, maybe homework, and then it's still gonna work. That's how upload federation is designed. It's their first principle, which is incremental adoption. But there's other thing. Just go back to this schema. Actually, I said this before, but instead of have everything sit in the same service, Apollo Federation separates it. Like it separates movie and review based on the concern. So movie doesn't have to care about review at all. It can only care about movie, their title, description, and it just manages that. On the other hand, on the review service, it only manages about review. Even if it has movie, it's still all about review. So this is their second principle, which is separation of concerns. And yeah, this is basically why you should use Apollo Federation, because of these two design principles. Okay, so just gonna let that sink in for a while. I'm actually pretty thirsty, that's why. Okay, so now I'm gonna move on. So now you know what's Apollo Federation and what's the design principle of it. Now let's take a real thing. How to Apollo Federation? We're gonna really make a movie rating system with Apollo Federation from now on. First, what we need to do. Wow, there are like just a list of so many things, but hold on. So first we're gonna set up the project, and then we're gonna work on two services. So I'm gonna start with movie service first, and then review service. And then we're gonna do something like composing subgraph. So we're gonna merge this graph from both services into one graph. And then finally, we're gonna work on the gateway. Okay, I'm gonna go like not too fast, try not too fast from here. So let's dive into it. The first step is setup. Now the setup, I'm not gonna go into detail like what dependency do you need to install, like how do you init your project. If you're too lazy, you can visit my GitHub and clone that repo. I'm gonna publish that after this talk, so wait for it. Oh my god, sorry about that. But what I'm going to set up here is actually the database. So in this demo, I use Prisma. So yeah, Prisma, I love a shout out. Here's Prisma. And yeah, I have a pre-recorded demo because live demo can fail. So we have dependencies here. We have Prisma, and I have a script here that just for migration. So actually, I have like every data model defined in the schema of Prisma, and it's gonna migrate my stuff. Just wait for it. Just wait for it. It's gonna have like migration. This is Prisma thing. It's gonna generate that SQL, and yeah, just use any DB client that you want. And now you can see that there are two tables. Prisma migration, just ignore it. We're not gonna touch that. Okay, yeah. So this is basically set up the database, right? And we're gonna move on. This is real quick. So the next step we're gonna do is we're gonna start working on movie service. Now, disclaimer: I'm not gonna go into the detail about like how you're gonna write the resolvers. I'm not gonna go too deep in that stuff. If you're curious, you can just you should go and learn about that. But this is for like Apollo Federation purpose. So let's move on. First, we're gonna take a look at the schema. So this is a part of a schema in movie service. Now, if you're familiar with GraphQL, you're gonna see something strange here. It's this part, and this is the first thing about Apollo Federation. It's this directive, the key directive. This is telling you that okay, this type movie had a key field named ID. It can have like more than one field. It can even have like nested field. For example, if you have like an object in this type movie, you can also use the field in that object to be a key of the movie. But just we just make it a simple service. We only have ID. Okay, so this is important. If you want to use Apollo Federation, you must have this directive. It's gonna be like this. And yeah, before we go on, this is not actually related to Apollo Federation, but just to improve our development experience, I'm using TypeScript here. So I'm gonna talk about like how we're gonna generate the type here. So we have the schema, and that schema is not actually a TypeScript type, right? We want to generate that. So we have these dependencies installed. Again, you don't have to worry about it. You can just take a look at it. I have a script here, and also for generate Prisma type, and I just pack it into one command. And this is a config file. Again, don't worry about it too much. It's just the CodeGen config file. And so it's gonna generate a type for you that is compatible with Federation. Yeah, and you're gonna see there's a type. There's a type. So here's a type that it generates. This is for GraphQL, and there's another one for Prisma. Yep. So that's it. That's how you generate a type. If you are curious about how it works, you can ask me maybe in Q&A if you have time, or you can maybe dig it your own. There's a documentation for this, so feel free to check out on that. And okay, we finish our schema, and next we're gonna skip the resolver part, because as I said before, we are not gonna like go too deep about the resolver, but basically we write every queries and mutations that we define. You're gonna see that like briefly in the video at the end of movie service, but right now let's focus on the server. So we have schema and we have resolvers now. What do we want to do here is we want to write a server. So movie service is a server. We're gonna use Apollo server here. Now note that Apollo server that I'm using is version 3. If it's version 2 all over, it's going to be a little bit different. Please refer to the doc for that. But okay, this is part of, again, movie server. I'm going to like go step by step about like what's going on here. So first, we build a subschema, subgraph schema. So this is going to take a schema and a resolvers that we define and compose it into one schema for movie service alone. Okay. And the second part is we're gonna create an instance of Apollo server. This is like, if you're familiar with Apollo server, this is just create a new Apollo server. Nothing magic here. And we're gonna start the server. So in this demo, I have movie service to listen at port 4001. And yeah, it's when we start this, it's gonna listen to port 4001. There's nothing else. But now let's come back to this for a little bit. So I actually create a helper here, create context. This one is my helper function that will like, what should I say, inject the Prisma client into the context so that you can use that in the resolver. You're gonna see like briefly about how does it work here. So this is a video. After you have all of those, this is what it's gonna look like. So here you have the full schema. You can see that there's movie and like input, query mutation, and this is a full resolver. And this is our server. Okay, and this is just a util file to start the server, and I have this script. So I'm just gonna run this start server and just wait a little bit. Okay, now the movie service is running at localhost 401, and now let's try to like open. So this is also good thing about GraphQL, right? It has built-in like API Swagger. Some version is GraphQL Playground. If you use Apollo Server version 2, that's gonna be Playground. But for version 3, there's a thing called Apollo Studio. And so here we just try query to see if it's actually work. In this case, you can see there's a response. I put a movie there beforehand, so that's a result. But you can see that it's working. So that's pretty good. Yeah, that's it. That's all what we have to work on movie service. Okay, before we go to review service, let's just take a very short break just to let that sink in. So what we did is we defined the schema in movie service, again with directives. That's the most important thing. And we also defined resolvers, which I didn't show in the slide. We also defined the server. We compose subgraph schema, and then we put that in the Apollo server and just run it. Let me take a sip. Okay. I'm sorry if you comment anything because I can't read comment for now, and I'm gonna read it later. So yeah, let's move on to review service. So in the review service, it's gonna be like pretty similar flow. Like you define the schema, you run code gen, you define resolvers, you create a server, and you run that alongside with movie services. And I'm gonna show you how to do that. So first, let's talk about schema. Now, again, if you are familiar with like normal GraphQL, the syntax, it's definitely something weird here again. And let's take a look at that step by step. The first thing is extend keyword. You're gonna notice that. So the extend keyword means that this type movie is not originally in the review service. It extended from somewhere else. We don't care where it's extended from. We just know that it's extended, and that's all review service care. And we also have directives key. This is like we can have this like for every service that has movie type, because this is how Apollo Federation knows how the same type from different services combined together, right? And the last weird thing here is another directive, external. So this means that this ID is not in review service. It comes from other services, which we also don't care where does it come from. Okay, we don't care. We just know that it's not here. Okay, now we finished the schema. For this review service, I'm gonna show you a little bit of resolvers here. Okay, so we have resolvers, and we have like queries and mutations as we define. But interesting part here is that if you remember, because in the movie we have average rating and reviews, we're gonna have to write like custom resolver for that too. So average rating depend on what your implementation. I don't show it here, but basically you just do whatever you want to average the rating. And you also have reviews, resolver for which the idea is the same thing. I just skip the implementation because it depends on what database you are using, what OM you're using here too, but just to get the concept right. Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. And the most important thing in this resolver that I want to show you is actually this part. So in review service, we actually have to write a movie resolver. It means that you can query the whole movie from review. And that's weird because in review service, we don't have any information about movie. No. Actually, we have that, right? We have ID of the movie because that's a key field. And that's what we are doing here. So in this review service, when we want to resolve movie, you just say, oh, okay, this is type movie, and we only have ID. That's key fields that we define, right? If you have more than one key field, then you have to put all of that in this object. And that's basically what you have to do in review service in order to query movie from review. Okay, it's different from query reviews from movie. It's in that case, it's in this field resolver. This is reverse. But okay, this is not going to be completed story because review knows how to resolve movie, but the movie service itself doesn't know how to resolve when someone is referring to it. And so we're gonna go back to the resolvers of movie. Again, we have query and mutation defined it, and we're gonna implement another resolver, which is like double underscore resolve reference. So this will be triggered when like other service, in this case review, it's referring to movie. You remember that object, right? So that's how you reference that's how you refer the movie. And so what it does is, okay, it takes a ID, it takes a key field, and you actually like just response with the whole movie object that you're responsible for. And here you can see that we are using Prisma from context. That's why we inject that into the context in the first place. But yeah, that's all we have to do in review service. And if you have all of that, this is gonna be the result. So here again, full resolver. You have the server. The server is gonna be look like the same, but in this case, I have it listen at port 4002, and again, just put in the bootstrap so I can start two services at the same time. Yeah, now you can see that it starts. And again, we're just gonna do just gonna go to the Apollo Studio just to see if it really works or not. Yeah, I also put a review in the database beforehand. So you're gonna see the reviews. There are two reviews for that. And yep, that works. So that's pretty good. Here you might wonder what is the underscore service is, and SDL is basically where like the gateway gonna queries for SDL of the subservice, and then so they can compose it. And yeah, that's it. That's the end of review service. And next we're gonna compose subgraph. But just take a little short break from here. Let's breathe for a while. Maybe 10 seconds. Okay. I guess that's about it. I'm sorry again. I still didn't read the comments yet. I'm gonna go back to that later. I'm just gonna move on. It's like still here with me, right? Okay. Then the next one is we're gonna compose the subgraphs from movie service and review service into a big supergraph. That's how they call it in Apollo Federation. So let's recap a little bit here. We have movie service, we have review service, and these are like two types. These are types in two services. They're actually more queries and mutation. I'm gonna just ignore that. What do we want to do here is we want to combine to these subgraphs into one big supergraph. The gateway can read this subgraph and actually get a full schema of GraphQL API. And so we actually gonna do that. It's fairly easy to do this. We just use this command. So the command looks quite long. I'm gonna break down just a little bit. So the first thing is rover. The rover is from add Apollo/rover package. It's npm. You can install that, and this is basically the command the CLI that will handle this kind of stuff for you. And we have supergraph compose, which means we want to compose subgraphs into a supergraph, and we just tell it where is the configuration file. I'm gonna show you that later how it looks like, but basically this command will print out the whole supergraph schema, but we don't want it to be in the command line, so we pipe that into a single file called supergraph.graphql, and this is what this command do. Okay, so next, this is a config of this is the file called subgraph. Actually, no, that L, my type bad, as it's subgraph-config.yml, and this is the content of it. So here, basically, you put every service that you want, and you have the endpoint of those services, and the command line will, and the rover CLI will read this configuration and will generate a type. No, actually not a type. It will generate a supergraph for you, and here is how it looks like. So this is a package I'm talking about, at Apollo/rover, and this is just that fancy command line. Just make a script for that. But first, you need to start a server, because the CLI needs to actually like request to the server to actually compose the supergraph. And you can see that now we have a supergraph file. It's gonna look like this. It's like massively chunky, just like Prisma type and type generation. But there's actually something interesting in this file, and I'm gonna show you like briefly. Now, disclaimer: I'm not actually familiar with this file too. This is just what I find that is interesting. So this is just a part of that file. And if you look at this, there's something interesting. First of all, here's the part. So you see the movies and you see the reviews, and you're gonna see the name of the service, but the most important thing here is the URL. So Supergraph actually contains the routing information about the federated schema. It knows where to query from. Just look at this. So for Thai movie, if you remember that, the Thai movie, the owner is actually in a movie service, which it's in here in the Supergraph. And then we join the movie type from two services. One is movie and one is review using key ID. And here are they. And also, if you take a look at these fields in the movie fields, you can see that you can clearly see that where are these fields, where do this field come from. And so ID, title, description, this we define in movie service. So the graph is movies. On the other hand, reviews and average rating comes from reviews. So there you go. So what surprise?
ขอโทษค่ะคุณบีมเดี๋ยวอาจจะต้องให้เร่งอีกนิดนึงเนาะให้ถึง3:35 สะดวกไหมคะเดี๋ยวถ้าเกิดเราเพิ่มเดี๋ยวเราไปคุยในopen session ต่อได้
Okay, sorry about that. I'll try to speed up.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's okay. Maybe I'm gonna skip the quiz probably. Okay, sorry about that.
Yes.
Basically Supergraph, the GraphQL contains all information about routing. So that's it. Because we lack of time, I'm gonna go like super fast. Next to the gateway. So the gateway is gonna be very, very small. So what it does here is it reads that Supergraph, the GraphQL, compose it into SDL string, just put it in the Apollo gateway. You create an Apollo server, and you actually start the gateway. And so if you have all of those things, yeah, I made this script for it. And so it's gonna start. I'm gonna skip this video. Yeah, you can see the gateway starting, and again, it's the same thing. So now you can see that. Now you can see that it's actually like very. This is the gateway, right? And we have the type from both movie service and review service. You're gonna see here. You can actually query everything from movie type, which sits across two services here. Yeah, and you still get the result. So that's it. Congratulations. Now you finish. Now you have your first Apollo federation. And Well, we're supposed to have a quiz here, but I guess since we have no time, I'm gonna go like real fast from this. So the next topic I want to talk about is about authentication and authorization, because we didn't cover that, right? And so we're just gonna add just a little bit, not too much. First of all, we're gonna come back to gateway. .index is a gate where we construct the gateway server. And we're gonna add few things. First, we're gonna add build service method in Apollo gateway, and second, we're gonna add context in Apollo server. And I'm gonna explain that. So build service, this one is probably the key of authentication and authorization. What it does is it has a kind of hook. I'm not sure if that's the correct term, but basically when you receive a header from the request to the gateway will set that header to the sub-services. For instance, maybe movie service and something like that. Yes, I'm gonna go real quick. And here you can see that you get authorization from the context, and it's set here in the upload server context. So that's where you get authorization header, and you're gonna set that to the request and send it to the sub-service. So I have just a little diagram here. It's gonna be something like this. Okay, and just to demonstrate this, I actually modify context a little bit. So I have is authenticated field, which is true if the authorization header is set, otherwise it's false, and it's gonna throw error if we don't have header set. And this is a result. So yeah, we have build service, we have context. This is everything I explained. Make sure to have this set up. This is just for demo purpose. I have this field, it's authenticated. I can see that everything is running. So I'm just gonna immediately try that out in the studio. Not that studio, it's internal joke, obviously. And here I'm gonna try to make some queries. You can see that now the header is unchecked. It means that it doesn't have header. Gonna throw us an error unauthenticated. And now we're gonna put that header back, and we're gonna try to query it. And there you go. You got that data that you want. So this is basically, it's not actually about how to authenticate, right? It's more like how to forward the headers of the request to the subservice. But yeah, authentication is the easiest example I can show to you. Okay, I'm gonna continue moving on. It's just a little bit left, don't worry, we're gonna make it in time. So now there's another question. What if we want real-time reviews? What if we want to just, like, when someone add a review, we're gonna show that immediately. We're gonna change the average rating immediately. Now, if you are familiar with GraphQL, and you're gonna think about one thing when you hear the word real-time, it's gonna be subscription. Yeah. So let's try to make subscription in Apollo Federation. Should we? Sadly, currently Apollo Federation doesn't support subscription. That's very bad news. So yeah, that's kind of one downside of Apollo Federation, is that it doesn't support subscription, but it has a workaround. And I'm not gonna talk about that. I'm just gonna recommend you to watch this video. So this is from Apollo itself, so it's pretty creditable, and she already talked about how you're gonna make subscription with federated data. Okay, at your own risk. You should watch it, but use it at your own risk. This is my problem. This is what I found here. So in that video, in this approach, you're gonna use a library called Federation Subscription Tools. And if you take a look at it in the npm page, you're gonna see that it's relatively new. It has like low weekly downloads, so use it at your own risk. But that's not the most important thing for me. The most important thing for me is that it doesn't have TypeScript definition. And that's, as a TypeScript lover, I really hate this. So that's why I refuse to work on subscription with Apollo Federation. Okay, that's just not a good idea. So we want to, if you want to use a subscription, or if you want to try alternatives, what are options that we have? Well, one that I can recommend is actually schema stitching. And we're gonna have a session here about this thing tomorrow. So looking forward to that. He's not gonna only talk about schema stitching, but how you're gonna use that with serverless. So mark the date. Don't forget to attend. Don't miss it. I highly recommend. Oh, sorry. And now it's gonna be quite over. Let's summarize a little bit what we have done here. So we separate movie service and review service. We separate that and we try to federate it together. We work on each service separately. Then we compose a subgraph into one supergraph. Then we make a gateway, read from that supergraph. Happy day. We also add some authentication and authorization. And we also talk that sadly Apollo Federation doesn't support subscription. Very sad day. So I'm gonna try to end with this question. Let's come back to what exactly is Apollo Federation after this talk. What's Apollo Federation? The answer for me is that it's where GraphQL and microservices combine beautifully. It couldn't be more beautiful than this, trust me. Thank you. This is, but last but not least, Rico is hiring. We could accomplish job. We have many open positions, especially senior backend engineer. Feel free to apply. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
Sorry for kind of rush presentation.
it's okay, we still have time for open session, and our staff will put the link to Gather Town on the comment. So please follow us to there. But before we go there, we have to say thank you for Kun Beam for this session. It's really great and clear and so detailed for everyone. I think everyone not much question, or if you have, don't forget to get the Town link on the comment. And thank you so much for Kun Beam. And Kun Om, do you have something to say?
Yeah, that's really really good presentation. There's a lot of things that I learned today. You explain everything really clear, and I think I'm going to use Upload Federation sometime soon in my side project. Yeah, but that's really good. Yeah.
That's good. One bonus thing is that I have a plan to write about this talk probably in a little bit more detail in my own personal blog, and if finish that, I'm gonna send to you guys. Yeah, that's the plan.
Please comment on the Facebook Live comment or YouTube, and I think everyone will go and follow it. Please follow him; it's very good for you. I guarantee that from his slide. And thank you so much, Ka.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
And for today,
yes, it's time for recap. So please recap. I will say in Thai, and you can start first.
Yeah, sure. For today recap, we have a total 3 sessions for today. So the first one is exploring Prisma with the Nexus. So basically, we are using the Nexus plugin with Prisma, and we learned that Nexus help make a GraphQL when you create when you can you have a complete control over GraphQL with Nexus. It's a very declarative plugin that split the graph, that process the GraphQL, that split the GraphQL as a AST level, that you can control it easily.
Yeah. So it is a powerful thing to help for that. So I will be in the Thai session. นะก็คือเป็นปลั๊กอินค่ะปลั๊กอิน Prisma เนาะเป็นปลั๊กอินสำหรับ Nexus นะคะที่จะช่วยให้โค้ดของทุกคนเนี่ยมีtype safe ขึ้นนะคะแล้วก็ปลั๊กอินนี้นะคะผสมการสร้าง schema แบบที่มัน declarative แล้วก็ code first ของ Nexus นะคะเพื่อที่จะเชื่อมต่อกับฐานข้อมูลที่ยืดหยุ่นมากๆของ Prisma นะคะทำให้ทุกคนเขียนโค้ดที่ type safe ได้ทั้งในระดับของ schema แล้วก็ระดับของ data อันนี้ก็คือ all in the first talk ค่ะแล้วก็ for the next talk ค่ะคุณออม about the envelope
Yeah, for the next talk is the envelope, the GraphQL plugin system. So basically, this talk is talk about the problem of the GraphQL that is like it's hard to like have some plugin that you can process it, that you can like add the plugin and process the GraphQL. You can't do that normally, but with the envelope is like a really like really large library that help us developer easily maintain the GraphQL. So basically, if you like are the front end developer, this it's like the bubble for GraphQL. You can like hook the process of the GraphQL and process it, pre-process it. It's like basically like you have like a life cycle and you have the complete control over the GraphQL, what it can be, what it should be done if on this process, or what it should be done on this life cycle, and so on and on. It's like really help separate everything in give almost every control to like developer to process the GraphQL.
Yeah, so it makes it easier with envelope for GraphQL, right?
Yeah.
โอเคค่ะสำหรับ envelope เนาะก็เป็นระบบการเพิ่มปลั๊กอินที่ส่งพลังมากๆสำหรับ GraphQL เนาะช่วยให้ง่ายขึ้นสะดวกขึ้นเพื่อเพิ่มความสามารถที่อาจจะใช้เวลาในการพัฒนานานมาก่อนนะคะเช่นการ cache หรือว่าการ trace บน GraphQL engine นะคะแล้วก็ envelope นะคะยังสามารถใช้งานกับ schema builder หรือว่าเซิร์ฟเวอร์แบบไหนก็ได้ด้วยนะคะก็ง่ายสำหรับทุกๆคนนะคะ and the last talk ค่ะคุณน้อม
Yeah, the last talk is the talk that have just ended by Kun Beam. So the last talk is the Upload Federation 101. So in this talk, he talk about the Upload Federation. So the Upload Federation is basically like you have like a really large data structure, and you want to like separate it into the subgraph. So let's imagine that you have like a really large one monolithic server, and you have to process that, right? Normally you have to like have the one monolithic server, but you can also like split the data into like for this data it can be processed by the microservice. So basically it's like it separate the GraphQL data to be processed anywhere in the microservice. But there's like a lot of potential that you can do with the Upload Federation, not just like splitting to the microservice. Yep.
โอเคค่ะก็คือว่า Apollo Federation เนาะช่วยให้เราสามารถใช้งาน GraphQL กับ Microservice ได้ง่ายขึ้นโดยที่ไม่ต้องให้เกตเวย์นะคะต้องทำงานหรือว่ารับภาระหนักเกินไปนะคะแล้วก็ไอเดียหลักก็คือเราสามารถ directive เพื่อบอกเกตเวย์ได้เลยว่าจะดึงข้อมูลจากแต่ละเซอร์วิสมายังไงประมาณนี้นั่นเองเนาะ
Yeah.
โอเคค่ะ for สำหรับทุกคนนะคะตอนนี้ก็ถ้าเกิดว่าใครมีคำถามหรือว่าอยากพูดคุยกับสปีกเกอร์หรือว่าอยากพูดคุยกับ attendee คนอื่นๆนะคะก็สามารถไปเจอกันได้ที่ Garten Town นะคะเราแปะลิงก์ไว้ให้แล้วทั้งในคอมเมนต์ Facebook แล้วก็ในคอมเมนต์ YouTube นะคะแล้วก็อย่าลืมฟีดแบ็กให้พวกเราด้วยนะคะสำหรับวันนี้เนาะเพื่อที่เราจะปรับปรุงให้ดีขึ้นในวันพรุ่งนี้ค่ะแล้วก็ เรามีซิกแจมนะคะให้ทุกคนเข้าไปแนะนำตัวนะคะจะได้ทำความรู้จักกันเบื้องต้นเผื่อว่าพรุ่งนี้มาเจอกันอีกเราจะได้ทักทายกันได้ทั้งในไลฟ์นี้แล้วก็ในแกตเตอร์ทาวเลยค่ะ Okay,
if you have any problem, you can like comment on the Facebook and YouTube. But more than that, we also have the open session which we can talk about anything. Or if you have a question or want to speak with the speaker, you can join the Gather.town to like explore more of the event. And if you have any feedback or anything that you want to send to us organizer, you can send it via where we can send where can we send the feedback again?
Yeah, right now we are showing up the QR code. If you are on the mobile or if you are on the desktop, please use your mobile and give us some feedback by this QR code. Or we already have a link on the Facebook Live and on the YouTube Live already. Please click on it and give up some feedback, please. And don't forget to go to Gather Town and let's connect and talk with us there. We will be there for everyone. Oh, and for all questions that we didn't answer yet, I think staff will answer every question after this live. Thank you so much and see you in Gather Town and Big Jam. Please go there for introduce yourself and talk to us. If you want to say or ask anything, we are waiting for that. Thank you so much for today ค่ะ Thank you คุณออมค่ะ
Thank you too.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And thank you everyone for joining today. Yeah, I hope we will see you tomorrow. Yeah.